Chapter 1. Friday the 13th, 1980. The summer calm of Camp Crystal Lake shatters under an unseen killer's gaze. Counselors arrive to reopen the long-cursed camp, ignoring warnings about a boy named Jason who supposedly drowned there years before. As rain rolls in, bodies vanish and reappear in grisly tableaus until the film reveals the murderer, Pamela Voorhees, a former cook whose grief hardened into vengeance. She blames negligent counselors for Jason's drowning and has returned to make sure no one forgets his name. On screen, Jason is not the killer. He exists as the wound that fuels Pamela and as a final dreamlike scare. After Alice Hardy decapitates Pamela in a frantic lakeside struggle, Alice drifts into exhausted sleep in a canoe. Morning light glimmers across the water, officers call out, and peace seems restored. Then a deformed boy erupts from the lake, dragging Alice beneath in a shock cut that jolts audiences and dissolves into a hospital scene where police insist no boy was found. The ending frames Jason's lake lunge as Alice's nightmare rather than confirmed reality, but the image lingers. It plants the seed that will grow into the franchise's central figure, tying Crystal Lake, Pamela's rage, and the boy's memory into a single enduring legend. Chapter 2. Friday the 13th. Part 2, 1981. The impossible becomes literal. Jason is alive, grown, and hunting. In the film's opening, Alice Hardy, still rattled from the lake ordeal, finds Pamela's severed head in her fridge before a sudden strike ends her survival. The action then shifts back to the Crystal Lake area, where a counselor training camp hums with new energy. In the trees, Jason moves as a feral hermit, his face hidden behind a burlap sack with a single eye hole. He wears rough work clothes and dwells in a ramshackle shack where he keeps a shrine to Pamela's head like a ghastly altar. The killings are grounded and physical: knife thrusts, spear drives, brutal ambushes, telegraphing a mortal, stealthy predator. In the climax, Ginny Field, a quick-thinking psychology student, dons Pamela's sweater and speaks in Pamela's voice, momentarily stilling Jason with the only authority he recognizes. The ruse breaks when Jason sees the real head and the cabin erupts into chaos. Ginny's blade buries into his shoulder and she and Paul escape into the storm. In a final jolt, an unmasked Jason bursts through a window, flashing his deformed face. Here the franchise defines adult Jason as human, territorial, emotionally vulnerable to his mother's memory, and unmistakably bound to the woods of Crystal Lake. Chapter 3. Friday the 13th. Part 3, 1982. Jason survives his shoulder wound and stalks the environs of Higgins Haven, moving slower and heavier like a predator emboldened by pain. The teens nearby treat danger like a joke, especially prankster Shelley, who carries a hockey goalie mask. Midway through the carnage, Jason takes that mask and puts it on, not as ceremony, but convenience, and a cinema icon is born in a cut so casual it feels inevitable. From that moment, the blank, triangular marked face becomes a portable legend. The film leans into set-piece terror, barn chases, false alarms, and a relentless advance that reads more methodical than feral. Chris Higgins, haunted by a past encounter, meets him head-on in the barn. In a grim, desperate swing, she buries an axe into his forehead, the blade wedging through mask and bone. He staggers, arms flailing, then collapses like a felled tree. His face, when exposed, is deformed and furious, but the mask is what lingers, its silhouette more indelible than his features. Part 3 fixes the visual vocabulary for everything that follows. Workman's garb, looming gait, and an expressionless visor that absorbs all meaning. The axe wound etched into the mask becomes continuity carved in plastic, a scar the sequels will keep referencing with each new blow. Chapter 4. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, 1984. Part 3's aftermath spills into a morgue, where Jason lies still long enough for gallows humor, then snaps back to life with a corpse's indifference to decorum. He heads home, to the woods, the water, and the nearest house full of oblivious youth. Next door, the Jarvis family. Trish, her kid brother Tommy, and their mother become unwitting neighbors to a legend still walking. Jason's mask now bears the axe cleft from Part 3, and his attacks are nastier, dirtier, more punishing. The film stages a contrast, giggling parties and the inexorable approach of a man who doesn't run because he doesn't need to. Tommy Jarvis, a preteen with a hobby in makeup effects, watches with horrified fascination, internalizing the creature like a problem to solve. In the finale, Tommy shaves his head, approximating a child Jason look to disorient the killer for a heartbeat. That beat is all they need. Machete in hand, Tommy hacks again and again until Jason finally falls still, an on-screen death presented as definitive. The camera lingers on Tommy's 1,000-yard stare, implying scars that won't heal. This chapter closes the mortal era of Jason Voorhees. Strong, durable, and frighteningly human, but killable when someone understands what scares him and turns it back on him. Chapter 5. Friday the 13th. Part 6. Jason Lives, 1986. Tommy Jarvis returns to a grave at night with one goal: end the nightmare by burning the body. Rage and dread drive a metal fence post through Jason's decayed chest. Lightning answers metal like an antenna, detonating the impossible into reality. Jason's corpse convulses, grabs, and stands. The eyes are different now, not alive, but awake. He tears his mask back and reclaims his machete as if memory resides in objects. The nearby town tries to erase history by renaming itself Forest Green, but names don't hold monsters. Jason stalks counselors and cops alike with a new unyielding force, stronger than muscle, numb to pain, indifferent to injury. The film treats him as a revenant, unkillable by conventional means, moving with a dreadful certainty. Tommy studies the past and finds an answer that matches the wound: water. He lures Jason onto the lake in a storm, wraps a chain around his neck, and anchors it to a boulder. Fire, blood, and bubbles vanish into black water as Jason sinks. At the bottom, eyes open, he stares upward through murk, a statue with purpose. This chapter redraws the rulebook on screen. Jason is no longer mortal. He is endurance shaped like a man. Chapter 6. Friday the 13th. Part 7. The New Blood, 1988. Years after the chain and boulder, the lake still owns Jason, until a different power tugs him free. Tina Shepard, a telekinetic young woman haunted by her father's death at the pier, unleashes her abilities in a moment of despair. The chain snaps. What rises isn't muscle, it's ruin. Jason's body now wears the story. Garments shredded, flesh waterlogged, spine and bones exposed through tears, mask split to reveal the skull beneath. He resumes the only ritual he knows, carving through a birthday gathering next door with the inevitability of a storm front. But the house is not defenseless. Tina meets force with force. Floorboards rip up and slam into him. Appliances fly, fire blooms. None of it kills him, but it slows the tide. In the final collision, as the pier collapses and flames rise, an apparition of Tina's father, bound to the lake like the monster, surges up and drags Jason down again, chains reasserting their claim. The film's on-screen language evolves Jason's look by layering continuity damage onto his frame, a moving autopsy that tells viewers exactly where he's been. He is wrought given purpose, and the lake remains both origin and answer. Chapter 7. Friday the 13th. Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan, 1989. Beneath Crystal Lake, an anchor snags a submerged power cable. Lightning rides the line and kisses the chain that holds Jason, jump-starting the corpse again. He climbs aboard a graduating class's cruise ship, turning staterooms into slaughter rooms while foghorns mourn. By the time he reaches Manhattan, his body looks like soaked canvas stretched over ruin. Skin darkened and swollen by water, the hockey mask cracked and yellowed, grime pressed into every gouge. The film leans on fish-out-of-water menace, alleys, subway cars, and neon grime as Jason's silent silhouette pushes through urban noise without breaking stride. In a rare unmasking, he peels the faceplate back to show a grotesquely swollen, wound-stitched face, a visual echo of the lake's long claim on him. The final pursuit drives into the sewers, where the nightly flood of toxic waste foams and rumbles. Acid eats at him. He screams for the first time in this era, a raw chemical agony as he dissolves in the torrent. Water closes this chapter as it has so many, only now it burns. The city changes the set dressing, but not the rule. Put Jason in any maze and he walks it like he built it. Chapter 8. Jason Goes to Hell. The final Friday, 1993. The government stops waiting. In a remote trap house, agents bait Jason into gun sights and unleash an arsenal that tears him apart. At the morgue, among charred remnants, his heart still beats with a terrible will. The coroner stares too long, then lifts and swallows it, and Jason's evil moves like a parasite. On screen, the rules pivot. Jason's essence can possess bodies, hopping from host to host, granting each the same brutal strength and single-minded rage. He seeks a particular route back to flesh, through a blood relative, and the film's third act offers the grotesque reward: a reconstituted Jason, mask fused to pulsing tissue, scalp clinging in stringy patches, the body a patchwork of scars. Jessica Kimball fights him in the old Voorhees house with a mystical dagger that, in this movie's logic, can end him. The blade finds heart, the ground splits, and demonic hands drag Jason down into hell, talons carving at him as the earth seals shut. The film closes the possession detour with an image meant to be final, until the franchise chooses otherwise. Here, the mask and body reunite briefly just to be claimed by a deeper prison, while the idea of Jason proves too potent to bury. Chapter 9. Freddy vs. Jason, 2003. Springwood sleeps without fear, and Freddy Krueger starves. To bring fear back, he impersonates Pamela Voorhees inside Jason's mind, whispering that it's time to wake up and kill. Jason rises, ashen-skinned, coat heavy with mud, mask cracked and yellowed like old bone, and heads to Elm Street to restart the bloodletting. It works too well. Freddy planned to harvest panic from dream kills, but Jason keeps cutting down Freddy's prospective victims in the real world, forcing a collision neither can sidestep. They clash in Jason's nightmares and in steel-clanging reality at a lakeside facility, trading advantages: Freddy's speed and mind warping versus Jason's blunt force endurance and refusal to stay down. The finale is deliberately unresolved. Explosions, blades, blood, and then dawn over Crystal Lake. From the mist strides Jason, staggering but upright, clutching Freddy's severed head. The head winks and chortles. No victory lap, no coffin nail, just two enduring nightmares sharing the frame. The movie's on-screen stance is simple. Manipulation can wake Jason, not control him. Gimmicks can slow him, not stop him. And endings can only pause him. The mask remains the one true title card, even when the credits roll. Chapter 10. Jason X, 2002. In 2010, after failed attempts to execute the unkillable, A secure facility elects to contain Jason by freezing him. The transfer fails. The scientist Rowan triggers the cryo system, and both predator and pursuer are locked in ice, a snow globe of suspended violence. Centuries pass. A field trip from a spacefaring future unearths their chamber on ruined Earth and loads it aboard a starship. The ship's tech revives Rowan. Jason thaws on his own schedule. Star Marines, lab benches, and pressure doors become his new hunting grounds, and the old patterns reassert. Improvise weapons, reduce distance, don't stop. When he's blasted apart, nanotechnology swarms his ruined body with mindless efficiency, replacing rot with alloy, leather with plating, and mask with a chrome-hard faceplate that retains the icon's geometry. Uber Jason stands, thicker, shinier, and built to ignore anything short of catastrophe. He smashes through bulkheads and vacuums, and in the final plunge through atmosphere, he turns to a meteor, burning toward a planet where, by grinning coincidence, a lakeside couple watches a mask fall into water. Sci-fi trappings aside, the silhouette survives translation. A walking inevitability now armored by a future that tried to fix him and made him worse. Chapter 11. Friday the 13th, 2009. Continuity resets to a raw edge. In the prologue, a young Jason watches Alice behead Pamela at the lakeshore, a trauma the film puts directly in his eyes. Decades later, campers hunt a marijuana grow and find Jason instead. He moves fast, not as a shambling corpse, but as a territorial survivalist who knows every inch of the woods. Underground tunnels web beneath Crystal Lake, linking traps, alarms, and hidden paths that let him appear where victims least expect. Whitney Miller survives the opening massacre because she resembles Pamela. Jason keeps her captive in his lair, an on-screen behavior tied to his mother fixation. 6 weeks on, Whitney's brother Clay searches the area and collides with a new group of partiers at a lakeside home. Jason claims a long-forgotten hockey mask from a decrepit shelter, and the image locks back into place, now on a more tactical mortal hunter who sprints, aims, and drags bodies with practiced efficiency. The climax chains him and drives him into machinery before Clay and Whitney dump him into the lake at sunrise. Relief lasts seconds. Wood splinters, water erupts, and Jason bursts through the dock, grabbing Whitney. A final reminder that Crystal Lake never really lets go.